Qatar's envoy to Afghanistan says the Kabul airport has been reopened to receive aid and will be ready for civilian flights soon. The ambassador said the runway at the Kabul airport has been repaired in cooperation with the authorities in Afghanistan. 2 domestic flights were also operated from Kabul to the cities of Mazar-e-Sharif and Kandahar. The airport had been previously closed since the last U.S. evacuation flight took off on the 31st of August. The U.S. evacuated roughly 124,000 people from Kabul last month as it ended its decades-long military presence in the country. Qatar's envoy to Afghanistan says the Kabul airport has been reopened to receive aid and will be ready for civilian flights soon. The ambassador said the runway at the Kabul airport has been repaired in cooperation with authorities in Afghanistan. 2 domestic flights were also operated from Kabul to the cities of Mazar-e-Sharif and Kandahar. For more on this, we have with us Sumaira Khan, our bureau chief from Islamabad. Sumaira, my first question to you is, the Kabul airport is now functional with aid provision now seemingly a possibility. Based on your experience there, do you think this will help ordinary Afghans, given that the recent economic indicators suggest that the U.S. Treasury Department has suspended foreign reserves of around $9 million?
Thank you very much, Hamza. Yes, there is a possibility now that humanitarian assistance and aid may have its smooth flow to the international airport, and not just Kabul airport, but I've been hearing that Mazar-e-Sharif, Jalalabad and Kandahar airport, they are also now getting themselves prepared to receive humanitarian aid assistance flights to all these 4 main airports in Afghanistan. So yes, there is a possibility, and if we link it to with the frozen accounts of Afghanistan overseas, which is, I think, around 9 billion something. I think that is not going to be the issue that should seize or that should confine the aid activities for Afghanistan, because we have been hearing, we have this kind of information as well that China and Russia, they are stepping up to help the incumbent Talib setup in Afghanistan. And we are also hearing some good news from America as well, from US as well. And you know what were the remarks of Secretary Blinken at the site when troops were withdrawing, that the aid assistance in terms of cash will keep flowing into Afghanistan through international aid agencies. So I think those frozen accounts are doing little damage to the incumbent setup in Afghanistan.
Right, Sumaira. And now President Biden has also said that the withdrawal is the end of U.S. policing in sovereign affairs. We clearly know that's not really the case if you take a look at the dynamics in the South China Sea. Now, do you think that really is the case in Afghanistan?
I think America is well aware of the ground realities. And as I told earlier when I was speaking to my colleague Munib at one of the Indus programs, that US is totally off the view, and it would not commit any mistake or blunder by leaving the Afghanistan's level playing field for other key players in the region like China and Russia. So if China and Russia, they are already taking place to fill those gaps left blank by the US forces. So right now, the main battle for the filling of those vacuum is keeping US in a very tense mood. So I don't think so that China that the US, just to contain China like it's doing in the South Seas as well, it is also going to keep its presence in Afghanistan, and with much heavier footprint, but obviously not through the boots. They are going to fill those vacuums through aid assistance and through diplomatic ties. And they are already in a kind of different accords with Taliban. And one of those fine examples is their smooth withdrawal from Afghanistan that was totally accommodated and supported and facilitated by the Taliban government.
Right. Now, Sumaira, the Afghan Taliban, let's come to the Afghan Taliban now. It says it will raise the voice for Kashmiris in Indian-occupied Kashmir. Can this be taken at face value?
Yes, there is a very fine statement from Suhail Shaheen, the spokesperson of the political office of Taliban. And it's not just his statement on screen. Whenever we talk to him, there is a kind of statement which is same as they are having same statement off the record, on any news channel, on any news stream. Well, we are preparing to get them interviewed in the days to come. And from both personalities, Zabiullah Mujahid and Suhail Shaheen as well, they are firm in their stance that the raising voice for Kashmiri Muslims is their first priority, and it is an unchanged and undeterred statement and no power in the world can change, can just compel them or force them to change their stance on Kashmiris.
Right, Sumaira, final question. Director General Inter-Services Intelligence Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid arrived in Kabul to hold talks with the Taliban, and obviously the Indian media has gone into a frenzy. They're trying to, launch this malicious smear campaign against Pakistan by claiming, okay, fine, now that the ISI general has gone to Kabul, that would result in Pakistan supporting an extremist setup in Afghanistan. There are two lead questions from this. Can these talks, number one, result in something substantial? And number two, how can the Indian propaganda warfare which is taking place be tackled?
Hamza, it's very obvious. It's very clear that Pakistan is right now center of attention. Pakistan is center of gravity when it comes to Afghanistan. And why not? If the DGISI is visiting Afghanistan, it's not that it's not the case that is being portrayed by India and India's frenzied media right now. They're just trying to create another havoc because they have it with General Faiz Hamid, and we are all very well aware of that. So international community is very well aware of the fact that DGISI, that the India, if we address him through the lens of Indian media, they always call him the spy master of Pakistan. So the only job, the Pakistani spy master is not having just one job to just look into the things that India wants him to look into the things, and he's not there to get the blame game. Right. He is there to discuss important range of issues with the incumbent Taliban government, and top of the list is to discuss the evacuation process, because Pakistan is being requested by international community to facilitate the evacuation process after US hasty withdrawal. And right now, DG is going to discuss two important affairs with the Taliban. One is the evacuation process. There are still Afghans at risk in Afghanistan. US wants them to evacuate, and they have repeatedly requested Pakistan to talk to Taliban to ease out that affair. Second, Pakistan is having a lot of people on both borders, Boldak-Chaman border and from Nangarhar border, the Jalalabad border. So they have to chalk out a plan how to give access to those people and how to execute the entire operation, because Pakistan is always at risk whenever it comes to the Afghan refugee influx into Pakistan. So there should be, because Taliban government has been requesting Pakistan not to take part in any brain drain kind of operation that US has been doing for last almost 15 days. We have all been seeing that thousands and almost, I think that the number crosses now 100,000. Many Afghans left Afghanistan without any reason, and Taliban has been requesting Pakistan not to take part in that operation. So right now, DGISI, General Faiz Hamid, along with high-profile officials from Pakistan, they are there to chalk out that final strategy, who to allow into Pakistan and who not to allow somebody in Pakistan, because Pakistan is also at risk. Because in the shape of Afghan refugees, we are also having these alerts and information that many of the Afghans, those who are not actually Afghan, and they can be some operatives who are operating for India and other hostile international agencies, they can come into Pakistan and they can conduct some terrorist activities against Pakistan's forces. So he's there to discuss that, deliberate upon those effects.
Right. Thank you so much. That was Sumaira Khan, our bureau chief from Islamabad, briefing us on developments in Afghanistan.